Good morning. This is update for September 11, 2022, day 200 of the war, end of the date update. So today I'm going to start with energy or power generation system of Ukraine and power distribution system because it was attacked by Russian military. So they attacked several power generation stations. One is here, it's called TETS-5 in Kharkiv, then Zmiev, which is a large one. And then there are reports that there was another one, this one small one in Kremenchug. Then also reports that there was attacks towards Kharkiv. Oh, sorry, Kryvyi power generation station, and also in Pavlograd, but that actually we're not clear. It's not clear, and also potentially in Dnipro region. So basically, as a result of this attack, a significant portion. Well, so first, what started happening to the whole power generation system? It started to collapse. So there's sort of like a rolling blackouts going through entire country. So it was stopped by disconnecting this kind of like a damaged or sort of like power hungry region from the rest, from this area in the west. So that was stopped that way. So as a result, all of this area, Kharkiv region, Poltava region, Dnipro region, then Sum region, Kiev region, and also there are some reports in Odessa region, in Mykolaiv region, that they were without electricity for some time. So as a result of that, also what happened is two nuclear power stations, one in Khmelnytska and the other one, South Ukrainian one, they sort of like disconnected from the grid and sort of went, call it like in hibernation mode, so self-shut down to prevent any sort of negative outcome. Also, what happened is that railroad traffic stopped here in this, call it east, well, I don't know what you call it, eastern part. So on this eastern side of Dnipro River here, where Ukrainian military is using that railroad to transport everything to the troops here on the front line. So that was also affected. So now let's actually, from just sort of stating obvious facts, let's kind of try to understand like what happened, why it happened, and so on. So I think today or yesterday, Ukrainian head of National Council kind of gave a speech and essentially changed the goal of the war. Right up till now, it was purely defensive war with the aim of regaining lost territories, right, which also includes Crimea here. Now what he stated is that Ukraine not only wants to regain the territories, but also wants to what's called demilitarize Russia. So basically borrowing Russian terms and using them towards Russia, basically. What this really means is that what he sort of meant by that is that he wants to prevent Russia from being able to start the war again in the future. Because his idea is that, okay, let's say this war ends, Russia withdraws, but then in 5-10 years, Russia will start this war again, basically. And so the plan is to remove Russia's ability to be able to wage any aggressive wars in the future. Obviously, he's just a talking head. He was just the decision has been made sort of not by him, way above him. So he just sort of announced this, right? So that was one thing that was going on. The other thing is Ukrainian president the day before announced that Ukraine is going to be exporting electricity from Khmelnytska nuclear power station to Poland, right, to earn money. And for those who followed or who just pay attention to things in the world, they know that the price of electricity right now is astronomical in Europe due to all of the bad energy policies in Europe, actually. That sort of gives opportunity to earn some money for Ukraine. Well, probably also means that some of the people in Ukrainian top political leadership will get enriched in corrupt ways, but nevertheless, it's still bringing money to Ukraine. So, what this probably all of this upset, let's say, Russian political leadership. So they decided to kill many birds with this shots, because first they're responding to this speech about demilitarization, showing, okay, you stop there, or we're gonna totally destroy the entire energy infrastructure and basically turn country into the Stone Age, right? Not to mention that they probably can use tactical nuclear weapons to do that. So that was response to that. Plus, it also deprives Ukraine now of ability to export electricity to Poland, which undermines economically Ukraine's ability to continue the war. Also destroys economy even further. It was basically, let's say, 30-40% of what used to be. Now we don't even know how. Like it's going to be very low. Let's put it this way. It's almost, the Ukrainian economy at this point is virtually destroyed. The only area that still works is agriculture and probably outsourced IT services. That's the only two sort of working parts of Ukrainian economy that still do something. So that's another destroying Ukrainian economy and Ukraine's ability to wage the war and to demilitarize Russia, right, with the help of the West. So this very clearly understood that this is sort of like a coalition against Russia that's waging the war. And yes, it's being done on Ukrainian territory, but really it's West, collective West, and Ukraine, waging the war against, or defending itself against Russian aggression, and now turning the tables and essentially, making Russia pay the price for its aggression. So, and then also, as I mentioned, Ukrainian military is using, obviously railroad extensively to bring everything to the front line and take back and forth, right? So, because of these attacks, the railroad traffic essentially ground halt on the eastern side of Dnipro river. So that also prevents Ukrainian military from being able to build up and move troops quickly and exploit the gains in Kharkiv region. The final sort of reason why Russian leadership did it is there was a lot of discontent inside of Russia because of this disaster in Kharkiv region. So they need to sort of put it down somehow and show some huge sort of progress, some huge advances and big results. So that was achieved as well. So as you can see, there are many sort of reasons why it was done. Remains to be seen if this is going to be sort of continuous action or this is just one-off. Given the whole nature of the war, it's probably going to continue. Maybe not right now, maybe later again. But that's just sort of that's where this is basically the war more and more escalating into, call it like total war at this point. Now let's switch to other news. This is actually, I'm showing you D1 Soviet 152 millimeter howitzer from 1943. From World War II, basically, or late World War II. It was used. It wasn't. You haven't seen much action on the front line. Nevertheless, it was. The production started in 1943. So now there are reports that Russian military is taking from reserves or from storage, from call it inventory or storage facilities, D1 and sending them to the troops. The reason for that is not so much shortage of artillery cannons as shortage of certain types of ammunition that being used for 152 millimeter howitzers. So that's what's going on there as well, and plus also the bores, the barrels, which is the most important. This barrel, which is the most important piece of any artillery, has been used up pretty extensively, and the more you use it, the less precise the cannon shoots. So there are a lot of reports that there is certain like number of shots that you can have before the precision drops significantly, and you literally need to replace the barrel. So there are reports that many Russian artillery pieces are reaching that threshold level, and they need new barrels. And apparently, the industry cannot produce enough, and so on. So as a result, basically, they pull out this old howitzers. In the same time, to be fair, they use D20 right now, which are just essentially the same. There's no essential huge difference. Well, actually, it's actually more like ML20, or that's like before that was created in Soviet Union before World War II. So that one is reminding more of that one. Nevertheless, they old equipment. The point is, this is old equipment. The effective range is only 13 kilometers. So this is really relatively short distance support at this point. So that's just kind of a quick update on what's going on. Now let's actually move to walk through the front line. Let's just have a more like summary of what happened. So this whole Kupyansk offensive is at this point over. There is no more progress. It stops on Oskil River, right? So Ukrainian troops are controlling this whole area between the rivers, as we said yesterday. They eliminated Izum bridgehead, and actually it looks like Russian command decided to withdraw and abandon this buffer zone next to Kharkiv. So essentially, most of the Kharkiv region is being liberated and by Ukrainian troops at this point. So that's the essence. At the same time, there are significant losses of material by Russian troops during this withdrawal. There's large number of tanks, all kind of ammunition, all kind of equipment that's being captured by Ukrainian army. At the same time, majority of the infantry or the soldiers managed to escape. So what this really means that it will probably take some time to rebuild those troops, to equip them with equipment and so on. But they will be back on the front line relatively probably soon, given the whole situation that Russian command is probably definitely desperately needing more infantry on the front line. So they will be back pretty soon. So that's just a general summary. There is a huge euphoria and almost, I would say, irrational exuberance in Ukraine with respect to this victory, which, while it's definitely big success, it's not giving this what I described, that most of the Russian units managed to escape, specifically people managed to escape. So that really means that they have another day to fight, and this sort of war is not coming closer. Now let's walk through the front line, and starting from the very north, and then we're gonna move in a clockwise fashion. The same situation along the state border, exchange of all sorts of fire, all sorts of action, including command action on both sides, mostly actually on Ukrainian side, to be fair. Now let's actually kind of quickly walk through this area that used to be the east of Kharkiv front line. So as you can see now, Russian troops basically withdrawing and moving back to the Russian territory. Ukrainian troops are slowly moving forward and basically taking control of this whole state border area. The same is going on here between the rivers. This is Siversky Donetsk River. This is Oskil River. So this is, basically this in process of being uh, liberated by Ukrainian troops. Then at the same time, Ukrainian troops are building the front line on the western side of this Oskil River, and then Russian troops are doing the same on the eastern side of Oskil River. Oskil River is definitely not the big river by any means, so it's probably relatively easily fordable, except in some areas it's more like there's a river bed and there's like marshes there, so it's probably not that easy. But at the same time, the river by itself is really like relatively shallow. Let's put it this way. Now let's move a little bit more and let's just cover the whole sort of new front line. So as you can see, it starts here as Dvoricha, then going through Kupyansk. The Russian troops are controlling eastern side of Kupyansk. So that's probably where the sort of front line is going to happen, going. Then Ukraine controlling the Sinkover. It looks like Russian troops actually managed to build defensive line here on the eastern side as well. The same goes through. Then there is this artificial lake here, which is somewhat of a barrier for the both sides. So it's just a good separation line. So whatever is going to happen here is going to be happen north of Sinkover. Probably Kupyansk will become area where there's non-stop fight going on. And then, but the more important part is actually here. Let's actually look at the former Izum bridgehead, which was evacuated by Russian troops, as we discussed. So this is where Ukrainian command is trying to create bridgehead on the eastern side of Siversky Donetsk River. So this is Siversky Donetsk River, with the idea of obviously then liberating all of the Luhansk region. That's just with the idea of basically liberating this whole area right now here, right? So that's the idea here. But so far, the Ukrainian troops were not successful as actually capturing Lyman. So it's still largely in Russian hands. They are sort of somewhere on southern outskirts of it, but there is definitely no success. Also, village Yampil still in Russian hands as well. So it looks like Russian command sort of managed to sort of stop the panic and gain some control, and Russian troops are starting to dig in and preparing for defensive fights here. It's unclear where the Russian troops actually right now in this kind of like in this forested area, sort of north of Svetogirsk. As we find out, we will confirm information. Now let's move. This is the sort of big picture. This is where we're talking about this bridgehead here in Lyman, near Lyman, that Ukrainian troops forces so far failed to really establish. But the aim, the goal of it is, as you can imagine, the objectives could be Svatova, which is now big hub for Russian troops here in this whole area, and even bigger hub is Starobinsk here, right? And also you can basically kind of like move south and basically destroy collapse this whole Russian attacking units that are attacking near Bakhmut, essentially, if you can go from kind of like attack from the rear. So this is potentially pretty important bridgehead, pretty dangerous. So that's why I was thinking that Russian command is doing everything they can to stop Ukrainian troops from building that bridgehead at this point. Now let's move south, actually. Let's see what's going on here on North Donbas section of the front line. Things here more or less the same. Wagner mercenaries continuing their attacks, starting from Soledar in south, Bakhmut, but without much success, at least in these areas. Then they attack all of these typical villages, Vasela Dolina, Zaitsevo, in this area, then Mayorsk, so all sort of typical areas. Nothing really new here to to provide any meaningful update. Now let's move to this central Donbass section of the front line, and here it's actually interesting because there are Russian troops that are attacking at the same time Ukrainian troops are trying to attack. This is probably the result of euphoria that's starting to, let's say, be in Ukrainian troops, where they think that Russian troops or Russian forces that they are totally collapsing and they just that's it. The war is over. So they tried to attack, and the attack was pretty unsuccessful, pretty actually poorly organized, by the way. Feel you can see that there is actually video floating of that attack. It's definitely example of how not to do attacks. Let's put this way. So as a result, Ukrainian troops lost and sort of retreated. So as you can see, there are still big problems in Ukrainian, command, Ukrainian troops in terms of actually doing right things and being successful at tactical level. Let's put this way. Then Russian sources reporting that Ukrainian command accumulating troops in Vuhledar region here with the goal that they think that the goal is to attack towards Volnovakha, which is towards southeast here, and with sort of final goal is Mariupol. We don't know if this is anything credible. We just want to just sharing it on a face value basis because there's a lot of misinformation. At the same time, we think it's important. There's definitely, in our opinion, that most of the Ukrainian units are still up in the Kharkiv region, regrouping and so on. So it would be very strange if the attack started here, but anything is possible. This is just kind of quick look at this section of the front line near village Pisky. So this is kind of like main Russian attack objectives. Vodyane, Opitne, then Pervomayske and Nevitske. So what happened? Ukrainian troops decided to counterattack with the goal of obviously capturing Pisky, as I said, but they were not successful. They lost one tank, and probably hopefully that was it. Now let's move a little bit more south. Let's see what's going on Zaporizhia front line. Things here are more or less the same, nothing major changing. Again, Russian sources reporting build-up of Ukrainian troops here in Vuhledar. They also expect something here in Velika Novosilka, in Gulyapole. We don't have any confirmation, or sort of this is highly skeptical of that, let's put it this way. Now let's move to Kherson bridgehead. Things here are more or less the same. No major advances here by Ukrainian side, no major advances by Russian side either. Ukrainian command still continues attacks against the Russian pontoon bridges and the ferries. So I think today was one pontoon bridge was destroyed. So this is, as we said, this is going to be probably like drawn out destruction of this Russian troops here on the Kherson bridgehead. It probably will take another 20-30 days, but they essentially done, and it's possible that Russian command will decide to withdraw these troops because at a certain point it will not be possible basically if Ukrainian troops advance more here and start sort of squeezing Russian troops closer into the smaller territory. Withdrawing will be close to impossible, and it's not going to be as successful as it was done from the, let's say, Izum area. Let's put it from Izum bridgehead. So this could turn into total disaster if Russian troops are continuing sort of putting up resistance here, and Ukrainian command brings more troops here and probably more capable command, something that's similar that was done in Balakliya, Izum, and Kupyansk. This can be total disaster for all of these troops here. But in any case, they they are getting lower and lower on supply and ammunition. That's what's most critical here. So eventually this start to crack and collapse under its own weight regardless. And then probably Ukrainian command knows that as well. So it remains to be seen if Russian command decides to continue fighting for this bridgehead, or they will decide to withdraw and essentially basically have very safe sort of front line here behind on the eastern side of Dnipro River. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and until tomorrow, bye bye.